Open your refrigerator for 1 second. Look at the food sitting there under the cold light. Milk, fruit, leftovers, bottled water. Now imagine the entire system behind that simple door disappears. No more supermarkets. No more hospitals. No more weather apps. No more electricity. No more clean water system. No more emergency warnings. No one comes to explain what has just happened. Now imagine facing a world-changing disaster around 74,000 years ago. On the island of Sumatra, in what is now Indonesia, the Toba Supervolcano tore open the earth. It was one of the largest known eruptions in the last several million years, blasting an enormous amount of ash into the sky. Ash spread across large parts of Asia and the Indian Ocean region. Some researchers believe it may have caused short-term climate cooling, ecological pressure, and disruption to food sources. This is called the Toba catastrophe hypothesis. But this is not a story about how powerful the volcano was. This is a story about the craziest survival methods ancient humans may have used when the sky changed. Animals moved differently. Food became uncertain, and no one understood what a supervolcano was. The simplest picture is to imagine ancient humans as completely helpless small groups standing under a pale sun, confused, afraid, and doomed to disappear. Some people once imagined Toba as the moment when humanity was almost wiped out, but the truth is far more complicated. Ancient humans were extremely flexible survival experts. Their tools looked simple. Their shelters were temporary. Their knowledge was not written down, but they carried something stronger than comfort. They knew how to adapt. This is the first thing many people misunderstand. Modern survival often means staying in one place, protecting the house, storing food, waiting for help. For hunter-gatherers, the craziest survival method may have been the complete opposite: leaving. To us, abandoning home sounds like a disaster. To them, movement was survival technology. If a water source dried up, they could search for another one. If animals disappeared, they could follow them into another valley. If ash covered familiar plants, they could move toward the coast, rivers, caves, forests, wetlands, or anywhere life still remained. Imagine a small group on a gray morning. Ash covers leaves, rocks, hair, and animal tracks. The familiar waterhole tastes strange. Hunters return with less food than before. No one has a map, but one elder remembers a river valley. Another person remembers a cave beyond the mountain slope, and so they begin to walk. That is not panic. That is strategy. The second survival method feels even stranger to modern humans: eating things many of us would refuse. Ancient humans thought in terms of using everything the landscape could still provide: roots, tubers, seeds, nuts, shellfish, insects, small animals, fish, meat scavenged from carcasses, tough plants that had to be processed before they could be eaten. To modern people, some of these things sound desperate, but in a crisis, the strangest food may be what keeps a child alive. Hunter-gatherers did not depend on a single crop. If large animals moved away, smaller animals became more important. If fruit became scarce, roots became a source of life. If inland resources collapsed, coastal food could become a lifeline where conditions allowed it. Imagine humans kneeling on hard ground, digging with wooden sticks. Someone cracks open shells by the shore. Another person uses a sharp stone flake to cut meat from a small animal. None of it looks heroic, but survival happens like that: small meals found where others see nothing. Then there was fire. Today we think of fire as a source of warmth, but for ancient humans, fire was an entire survival system. It cooked food and made some foods safer. It brought light when dark nights became colder. It helped drive away predators. Smoke could repel insects. Around the fire, people could gather, teach, plan, and remain human. Imagine a night after the sky had changed. Outside the circle of firelight, the land feels unfamiliar. Children sleep close beside adults. A small flame trembles in the wind. The group does not know they are living through one of the largest eruptions in human history. They know only one thing: the fire must not go out. Beside that fire, another survival method sits in plain sight: stone. A stone blade only looks primitive if you do not need it. In the ancient world, a sharp stone flake could cut meat, scrape animal hides, process plants, shape wood, repair shelters, and butcher animals. A small stone tool could mean food, clothing, shelter, repair, and protection. That is why archaeological evidence matters. Volcanic ash layers, or tephra, can become timelines in the ground. The youngest Toba tuff marks material from the eruption. At sites such as Toba in India, archaeologists have found stone tools both before and after the Toba ash layer, showing that human activity continued in some regions. This does not prove that every human group survived safely, but it makes the old idea of a simple global collapse much harder to believe. And tools alone were not enough. The next survival method was invisible memory. Before written maps existed, humans carried the landscape in their minds. Someone remembered where water still remained through the dry season. Someone knew which routes were safe to eat. Someone knew animal paths, cave locations, river valleys, and coastal routes. Elders were living libraries. In a wounded world, memory could become the line between walking toward food and walking toward death. And this leads to the strangest survival technology of all, the group itself. A single person alone in that world was fragile. A group could share food, watch for danger, care for children, protect the injured, test ideas, and pass down knowledge. One person could find tracks. Another person knew plants. Another person kept the fire alive. Survival was not just muscle strength. It was cooperation. Some regions were certainly affected more severely than others. Toba did not affect every place in the same way. Some landscapes may have been devastated. Other places may have been pressured but still livable. Coasts, rivers, forests, caves, wetlands, and resource-rich refuges may have helped human groups survive. The final method was not one specific thing. It was improvisation. If animals moved, they followed. If plants disappeared, they searched elsewhere. If open land became dangerous, they used caves, trees, shelters, or protected areas. If one food source disappeared, another became important. Improvisation was not random action. It was intelligence under pressure. Today, when disaster happens, we look at screens. Ancient humans looked at the sky, the wind, animals, water sources, and each other. Ancient life was not better. It was dangerous, cold, hungry, and uncertain. But ancient humans had direct survival knowledge. They knew where food came from. They knew how to read the landscape. They knew how to move when staying became dangerous. So what were the craziest survival methods during the Toba Supereruption? They moved when the land failed. They ate things modern humans might refuse. They kept fire burning like a second sun. They turned stone into blades, memory into maps, and small groups into living shelters. They found refuge in a wounded world and improvised day after day without understanding the science behind the disaster. Now, close the refrigerator door. That cold air, that easy food, all of it is part of the world we have built. But we are only here to build it because long before civilization, someone walked through ash with a child beside them, a tool in their hand, a fire in their memory, and enough courage to keep going. Humanity's craziest survival method was never a small trick. It was this enduring together.